We have gotten updates about Trump's tariff dividend checks. So people will be receiving $2,000 checks, but this isn't for everyone. You have to earn under $100,000 a year. If you make less than $100,000 a year, you should be receiving a $2,000 tariff dividend check.
Donald Trump, MAGA, Elon Musk, they're all about saving money, right? Isn't that what they're telling us? They're going to cut costs so we're not wasting federal funds, our taxpayer dollars, on shit that isn't important, right? They're trimming back the excess.
See, this is where it falls apart because the math doesn't math. You fire a bunch of people to save money, cool. But those people were spending money in their towns, at local businesses, paying rent, buying groceries. You just removed customers from the economy to save the economy? That's like draining the pool to fix a leak. Yeah, the leak stopped, but now nobody can swim. And where's the money going? Programs cut, services gutted, taxes not going down. So where did it go? The money left your pocket, it didn't come back to your pocket. So do the math on whose pocket it ended up in.
People are being unemployed, sent to the fucking unemployment line by Donald Trump. So people are losing their jobs, and not just federal employees across the fucking board. Now, how is that helping our economy? All of this is about saving money, so that should help us. At least, thank God, we're not wasting money anymore. Great. Question for y'all. What are they going to do with all that extra money that they save us? Are we going to see more social programs and maybe to help out the American people? Well, no, they don't really believe in that kind of stuff, right? Because, in fact, they're cutting all the programs that are helping you today. Okay, you know, they're going to save us so much money, then our taxes will be reduced. They're not reducing our taxes. Well, okay, so where's all this money going that they're saving us? What are you going to do with that money, Mr. Trump? That's our money. That's taxpayer money.
Fell for it, and that's the part that stings. Because getting conned isn't the embarrassing part. The embarrassing part is getting conned and then defending the guy who conned you. That's like getting pickpocketed and buying the thief lunch because he said he'd give your wallet back eventually. At some point, you got to stop fighting the people, pointing at your empty pockets, and start asking where your money went.
The reason we pay taxes is so that we can have stuff in our fucking society. Better roads, right? Safety, security, good stuff, clean water, nice environment, school. All of that shit. That's why we exist in a fucking society. You're taking all that stuff away. You're taxing us more. So what are you going to do with it? Where's it going? Or are you just going to give it to the fucking rich? What are we getting from the savings? We ain't getting shit. It's all going into those fucking rich motherfuckers' pocket. Anybody supporting Donald Trump and his fiscal policies, you have been lied to. Get your head out of your ass. The ultimate fucking con. 30% of Americans fell for it. You guys are all idiots.
Fuck these Nazi pricks. Who the fuck do they think they are?
I feel sick. I just spent $93 on stuff that probably would have cost like $40. I don't know. At Christmas. This was at the Dollar General. Damn near everything was like $7. Everything. I usually get my kids like a little like toy car or something cheap. $7.50. I needed to get a towel because one of my kids had an accident. $7. Lego set that are usually $9.99 are now almost $18. Every time Trump gets on TV, he's just talking about how great the economy is. It's like, dude, stop pissing down my back and telling me it's rain. The economy sucks. I'm a single mom. They say that, you know, you can't survive on one income anymore. And I'm just wondering how long, like, I can keep this going for us.
So click on this comment to read the whole thing because it's long. But short answer, yeah. It's only bad if the United States does it. Why? Because I live here. So do you. I couldn't give a fuck if Vietnam decides to put 110% tariff on Irish butter imports. Whatever. Do what you want. I care here what the United States does because it does hurt the economy. I'm going to try this. One more time, okay? American businesses manufacture goods in other countries. We decided to do this 30, 40 years ago now. We stopped on purpose. We stopped making goods in the United States and we make them in other countries. Why? because cheap access to raw materials and cheap access to labor. That is what capitalism needs to survive. The United States has largely pivoted and become a service economy. We provide the world with technology, okay? We don't provide the world with toilet brushes and toothpaste. Okay? Are you following me? Now, here's the thing. It's American businesses who are choosing to manufacture the goods in other countries. Let me say it again. It is American companies who manufacture the goods that you buy and use every single day in other countries. And Donald Trump, by imposing these tariffs, has decided to say, fuck you.
Listen to what this man is saying because he's explaining it like he's talking to a 5-year-old, and somehow people still won't get it. American companies moved manufacturing overseas 30 years ago, not because someone forced them, because capitalism said to. Cheap labor, cheap materials, that's the game. And now tariffs land on those imports and WHO pays. Not China, not Vietnam, you, at Walmart, at Target. Every single time you swipe your card, it's a tax on your own shopping cart disguised as patriotism.
Fuck you to all of the American businesses who manufacture goods in other countries. And we're only doing so because we have no choice. There is no choice here in the United States. Not anymore. If you want to have a company that is making anything, whether it's clothing, sneakers, soccer balls, socks, what have you, the vast majority of everything that's inside your local Target, Walmart, Home Depot, on and on. All of that stuff, if you are an American company and you want to provide that stuff to American consumers, you have no choice but to manufacture it outside of the United States. Why? Because we don't have the raw materials, the infrastructure, the labor, or the venture capital money to make factories here in the United States. Ain't nobody doing that. I dare you. I dare you to go on Shark Tank and say, I want to make this football. And they're going to be like, what does it do? And you're going to say, nothing. Kids throw it and kids kick it. And they're going to laugh at you. Because they're not going to invest in your fucking football factory. Because we don't want to make $850 footballs here in the United States. Do you understand yet? Other countries are not putting sneakers and speakers into Scud missiles and shooting them into your local Walmart. They're not. They aren't just, putting them on a container ship with good luck, babe, and sending them across the ocean hoping that we let them in the port. We are doing it on purpose. And Donald Trump, with his tariffs, has decided that it will cost us 10, 20, 40, 50, 100% more per item for that privilege, for the privilege of not manufacturing in the United States, not manufacturing something that we can't even make here for a reasonable cost. Are you following me yet? That is what happened. These tariffs are not on China. These tariffs are not on India. They aren't on Vietnam. They aren't on the EU. They aren't on them. They're on us. They're on the imports. that American companies import into the United States. Hope this helps.
3 words that should be on a billboard in every city in America. They're on us. Not on China, not on India, not on the EU, on US, the people buying the stuff. And the fact that this has been explained 1,000 times, and there are still people going, well, actually, it makes other countries pay, is honestly just sad at this point. Your grocery receipt tells you who's paying. Look at it. The price went up, your paycheck stayed the same, nobody in Beijing is covering the difference. That's your debit card, your bank account, your money, gone.
Sometimes I just can't stand living in America. So I was watching this video on YouTube, and this girl was talking about how she moved from abroad back to America, and she was discussing how she wasn't able to find a place to stay and how hard it was to find a place to stay. And I'm like, girl, yeah. And she was talking about how her and her family were looking for an apartment just so they can move in before they end up buying a home. And they were looking at apartment prices, and a lot of the apartment prices were charging either 2 times the rent, 3 times the rent, and of course she was being extra dramatic, but she said 50 times the rent, and low-key, we know exactly what that means and exactly how that feels. And I believe that certain complexes that are out here are really overcharging people because they're trying to save their debt or pay their debt off. And then it dawned on me, I said, you know what? America is in some really pretty bad debt. And for you guys to make sure that our credit is good, y'all credit is effed up. So don't you think it's a bit hypocritical for you to sit here and ask me for at least 2 to 3 times the rent when I could go overbroad and they do not ask me for a W-2, check stubs, or anything of that nature? They just want first and second month's rent. Plus, that's it. And making sure that you are able to pay the rent. They're not checking your credit history or anything like that. Like, they ain't even worried about none of that. And it is so hard to find decent places that don't already check your credit history, which I completely get because you need to know, hey, are you able to pay me back? But we don't do credit history with other people because when it comes time for y'all to do something in some of these apartments, y'all take forever to fix anything. When it comes time to make sure that the areas are cleaned up, y'all take forever to do anything. But yet you want our stuff on time. And I know it's not just me, but y'all want us to be on time, but y'all ain't never on time for anything else. Make it make sense.
She said make it make sense, and honestly, you can't. 3 times the rent up front, credit checks like you're applying for CIA clearance. And then when your toilet breaks, they take 6 weeks to fix it. But your payment better hit on time or it's a fee. Landlords demanding perfect financial records from tenants while the country itself is drowning in debt. You want my credit score? Cool, what's yours?
I'm not here to try and make anyone look bad. I'm not here to build anyone up either. I just say it how it is sometimes. So about that golden age, I can't wait to see it, but I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. And it is a golden age intended for the working class, right? Right? Because I don't care about a golden age for top 1% or billionaires. I only care about a golden age for the working class.
Life in America.
God have mercy upon us. You think they're wise? Very man.
Hey Mega, I've compiled a list of ways that your president has ruined the American economy to the point of no return. So I'm going to be rapid firing that so your simple brain can go ahead and comprehend the damage you've done to the United States with your vote. Without further ado, let's dive in. First and foremost was the tariff war that he initiated with China. I'm not going to dive into it. I can if you guys would like me to. But essentially, this has eliminated access to manufacturing goods. China is a global powerhouse for manufacturing. The entire global economy depends upon Chinese manufacturing. This has eliminated access to a lot of manufacturing goods we need, like precious minerals, to build and manufacture tech devices in the United States, tech devices as a fundamental whole, fashion, and most importantly, medicine, antibiotics. So the goods that we do still have access to, we are now paying tariffs on, and tariffs are not paid by China. They are paid by the importer, which in turn causes a price increase for you. On day one of his presidency, he signed an executive order abolishing the SAFES Act established by the Biden administration to bail out farms in red states during the pandemic, leading to a lot of foreclosures and auction of American farms. And if your American farm is still standing, well, then half or all of your workforce has been deported or committed to a concentration camp that your tax dollars fund. Now, we're just getting started, but this is where things start to get interesting. The tariff war that he started with the entire global economy, accompanied by the fact that he's erecting concentration camps in the United States of America and funding a genocide half a world over, giving billionaires tax breaks, basically forced the entire globe to boycott red state exports. So they are specifically not buying anything that comes from a state that voted for President Donald Trump. And a perfect example of the fuck around and find out with this is the American whiskey corporations. 3 separate whiskey companies have filed bankruptcy in the month of July alone, eliminating 23,000 jobs from the American job market.
23,000 jobs from whiskey companies in 1 month. And that's just whiskey. Beef? Gone to Australia. Lumber? Countries buying direct from Canada. The rest of the world didn't boycott because they're petty. They boycotted because it's smart business. Why pay more when someone else offers the same thing cheaper without the headache? This is what happens when you play tough guy with the entire planet. They don't fight you. They just go around you. Like standing in the highway screaming, "I'm not moving." And traffic just takes the side road. You didn't win anything. You became an obstacle everyone learned to avoid.
But here's the thing. The world didn't stop at just our whiskey. They also said, we're not going to take American beef anymore. Instead of buying beef from the United States of America, they're now getting it from Australia instead. So that's another export we lost to the global economy. Now, we all know that America didn't just enter into a tariff war with China, but also with our neighbors, Canada and Mexico. America's 3 largest exports are lumber, medicine, and petroleum. All of which we broker, meaning we buy low and we sell high. We used to get our medicine from China, our lumber from Canada, and our petroleum from Mexico. Every single economy in the world has essentially cut out America as the middleman and decided to buy lumber, petroleum, and medicine directly from the source, meaning we are no longer the export giants for these 3 major exports that sustain our economy. And I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. That's fine. We still have the automotive industry. That's a heavy export header for the United States. Wrong. 5 foreign manufacturing giants that have plants in the United States have announced that they will be closing all of their plants, specifically to move them to Mexico just to boycott the presidential administration in the United States of America. And you're like, that's fine. I'll just buy American. Actually, you won't, because both Ford and Chrysler have announced that they have no profits to report for the first and second quarter of 2025 due to the tariff wars and the global boycotts, which is going to lead to massive layoffs with no government bailout because Democrats give bailouts, not aristocrats. If you're starting to panic, just wait. There's more. China has actually signed a trade treaty with Mexico to build a canal going directly through Mexico, eliminating the need for the Panama Canal, further rendering the United States completely fucking useless in the global economy. If you're banking on the made-up power of the American dollar to save the American economy, that's not going to happen either. Mexico and Brazil just signed a treaty completely eliminating the American dollar as their primary form of currency used to settle all foreign and domestic debts. And furthermore, they are creating their own bank. Do you understand the significance of this? Probably not. Let's dive in deeper. You guys wanted to make America great again, when in reality what you did was you made Mexico great. Because it doesn't stop there. Mexico and Canada have signed another trade treaty eliminating America from what was formerly known as the North American Free Trade Association and previously renamed to I can't fucking remember what. But these neighbors are not only no longer trading with us, but they are no longer our allies. They are not providing us any export goods for us to fucking broker. Home Depot has announced that they will be pulling a lot of American locations, once again, costing thousands of Americans their jobs, because they are now investing $1.3 billion in guess who? Guess, Mexico. And this is because they anticipate a massive boom in their housing market. The rest of the world knows that Mexico and Canada have picked up the economic ball that America has dropped, and they are making trade agreements and investments specifically with Mexico. So essentially, Canada and Mexico are now exporting everything we used to while eliminating the use of the American dollar for the global economy. The automotive industry is hitting a record-breaking low in the United States, so you can expect massive layoffs to sales and service staff. And we're just getting started on the global economy. Now we're going to talk about the home side of things. With them defunding the CDC and the FDA, your food and your drug is no longer regulated, which is why we see a massive uptick in E. coli outbreaks. But you don't see that because Fox News doesn't report that. Fox News also does not report that nobody will buy any food or drug from the United States of America because of the lax regulations on the FDA and the CDC. They know that what we eat here is deadly and poisonous. That is what you eat, and they refuse to buy. With America defunding the CDC and backing off the WHO, the World Health Organization, we've also seen a massive uptick in HIV and AIDS cases in southern cities like Houston, Miami, Atlanta, and oddly enough, the Carolinas. So that's fun. Now I realize there's a lot of off-grid American survivalists who are like, I'm not worried about E. coli or HIV. That doesn't bother me, or the slow burn of diabetes and cancer doesn't affect you because you live off grid. You should take a lot of comfort in the fact that the EPA has been completely defunded. That's right, the Environmental Protection Agency, which is responsible for making sure that big corporations in the United States don't poison the soil you grow your food in, the water you fish in, or the air you breathe. That no longer exists.
And this is where it stops being funny. Forget the economy for a second. We're talking about water, air, the soil your food grows in. The agency that kept corporations from dumping poison into your river just got erased. And the people who cheered for that? You drink water too, bro. Your kids play outside too. Cancer doesn't check your voter registration. Pollution doesn't care about your bumper sticker. You removed the referee and now you're shocked. Somebody's fighting dirty. So let's just sit with what we heard today. Grocery bills doubled. 23,000 jobs gone in a single industry in a single month. The entire planet trading around us. Clean water protections erased. And the people hurting the most? The ones who asked for this. I'm not here to gloat. I'm here because sooner or later this hits all of us. Doesn't matter what you believe or who you voted for. Your water bill, your grocery cart, your rent. None of that cares about your politics. So next time somebody promises you a golden age, ask them golden for WHO. Drop a comment, like, subscribe. Share this with someone who still thinks tariffs are paid by other countries. Mind mirror out.